It's your boy, Ed the Dread, aka Eddie Money Mouth, and you are tuned in to the Money Mouth Podcast. Yes, sir. Burr, 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 burr. Welcome back to another Money Mouth Monday. Woo! We are getting back to another of the same hot topic that's out here in Hawaii at the moment. I have spoken about this topic numerous times before, whether on social media, whether on YouTube, or whether just kids in school or people that I'm friends with in person, but it keeps coming up, and it is the N word use in Hawaii. Nay. Woo! So there was recently a video from a young lady that's just, giving a PSA kind of, and we'll check it out.
Do not come to Hawaii unless you have a strong soul and you like hearing non-black people say the N-word in every sentence like it's their favorite word. You're fine with them beating you up if you say something about it. Don't ask how I know this, just beware. Heed my warnings. Every sentence, they say it. Everyone. And everyone is not black.
So, yeah, I commented on it when it was posted somewhere online. I said, yo, Homegirl's got a point. And I will reiterate that. Homegirl has a point. She looks pretty young, so she's probably coming from like a high school age, adolescent, teenager, maybe, early 20s perspective. So, I've seen kind of both worlds, being an adult person living on island here on Maui and also a teacher slash high school coach slash announcer for youth sports, ref for youth soccer, and just a person who's just in my community with the youth. So I'll give kind of both perspectives and my own perspective from both perspectives, we'll say, which, like I said, first and foremost, I'll just co-sign her a little bit. There is an abundance of the N word being used all over the island. And as far as Maui goes, there's probably 1% of the population here on island is African American. That's about 1,000 of us, if that. And, for that small amount of us being here, there's a whole lot of that word being thrown around. And it's like, I don't understand, it boggles me as to like who invited you to say that shit, or something like that. But it is what it is. So personal perspective, I've heard it from adults, fucking specifically like people angry in traffic or just angry in general and see somebody, me, or look like me, and that's their response. I mean, full on hard ER. I've had a young Caucasian kid throw sand in my face at the beach playing with a friend of mine's kids. And I was like, yeah, you can't throw sand in my face. Like, you don't throw sand in your friend's faces. He's like, you're not my friend, you're black. And then when like I approached the parents denied it and said, no, my kid would never say some shit like that. And whatever. So it's just a thing that it does happen a bunch out here. I've previously made posts about it where the big ass freaking highway wall that everyone paints has had that with the ER on it. One of my first TikTok posts was a freestyle about that occurrence because I was so mad about it. I didn't even know what the fuck to do about it. So I just spit a freestyle about it. It got to a point where people were calling cap on, oh no, nobody wrote that on the wall. Oh, nobody. And, I saw it written on walls enough. Specifically, one time I had to bring my own paint stuff the next time I drove past a wall that was out there going out to Honolulu Bay, and it's on the wall out there. And I filmed it. I time-lapsed myself painting over it. And then when I went to edit the time-lapse, I was so fucking mad about it that I just deleted it, right? Because like the only reason I recorded it is because people are calling cap on the internet. Like I give a fuck, right? But it's what I saw with my own eyes. So I mean, more recently, Upcountry Skate Park, Pukalani, this is on the fucking entrance. That's that's the entrance. You skate in, that's what you get right there. So maybe not ER that time, but it's there, right? Um, when I was teaching in high school, there was a group or maybe one person. I don't even know if it's a group or a person. The Top Shakas, they were coming up, and their track was being played to me by a student, and you know, I didn't really care about how my track sounded initially, so I'll say this was like a lo-fi sounding track. But whatever verse they played, I just heard the N word, and I'm like, "Is that guy black?" And they're like, "We don't even know." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not listening to it." So I've kind of like never listened to Top Shakas, although they've gotten popular. I mean, they played the playground, and there was a time where homies were asking me. I think it might have been like Legends of the Bay was going on, and that show was that evening, and everybody's like, "Yo, you going to that show?" And I'm like, "Nah," just not even giving nobody a reason why, but that's the reason why, right? And I mean, we can just look at the lyrics. I'm a cold blooded soldier up in the streets. I leave a whole ass punk inward fucking deceased. So either he a brother saying that about other brothers, which is fucked up, just like rap B, or he ain't saying that shit about. So whatever, right? But my point is that's a very popular song, and that's a popular group, and they from out here, and that's it's just kind of normalized, right? Um, now from again homegirl's perspective in that video, I would say that she's young and she's probably in high school or just in college or something along those lines, right? And being a teacher in high school, shit, I taught at two schools that probably, were a high percentage of local Kanaka and or, mix of other Pacific Islanders. Um, one, like the smallest school on island actually probably had the same amount of black students as white students in it, or very close ratio. So uh, I got the N word called by a student there, and I couldn't tell if it was like with hate or with love, and it was just like, fuck, man, I don't even know, like we got to just go sit down in detention with the history teacher and learn a history lesson because you're tripping. But then as I went to a bigger school and stayed there for longer, um I will literally say that we had to have meetings, staff meetings, over the use of the word of the kids in school. I personally had meetings with African American students, and there's less than one handful, of which I would say two ended up not even finishing going to school there because I would say not I don't know exactly why, but I'll tell you that much, that shit bothered them. So I would assume that would probably have a bit to do with them transferring and or just leaving or whatever. Uh, but personally, like, bro, kids would call me that shit like it was nothing. Oh, I'm a Crip. I'm a Blood. I'm a do this. I'm a do that. Inward this, inward that, with an A, with an ER, didn't fucking matter. And I'm a teacher, so you can't like fight the kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, not like you want to fight a kid anyway, but it's just like you probably want to grab them up and slap them, you know? But it's not a thing you can do. So the kids know that, and I'm sure they're pushing the boundary of that, but at the same time, it's like super inappropriate, man. So uh I would say the worst instance was literally a kid called me the ER with the hard called me with the hard ER. I had security grab him, and then by lunch he was back. And our school, they think they're so thugged out that they had a gun scare. So like all the male teachers are now standing outside of our doors during like lunchtime just to, be safe, keep an eye on what's going on outside. And at that point, that kid was out at lunch, looks at me and goes, "Oh, what, mister? You want a fucking banana?" And it's like, that was it. That was when I knew it was over. There's no longer being a teacher. That is worth a ass whooping. And again, I'm just a teacher guy. That kid's probably fucking 15. Uh, but it's a thing that happens out here, right? And I wouldn't even know what to do if I was a kid that age as me. Cause yeah, they're saying it to black kids. Yeah, they're saying it all over the place. Yeah, they're saying it all they fucking want. Uh, and to be fair, I didn't understand Hawaiian history before I moved out here and researched it on my own. So I can get that you don't understand African American history, you don't understand slavery, you don't understand that, right? I can get that when it comes to living on this island and say you live in like Hawaiian homeland or like you don't have as much as other people that moved here and have a lot do. And then the closest thing you can relate to in American culture is like hood type shit. So I can understand that, right? But at the same time, it's like, yo, you got to kind of realize that, you know, there's black people that don't like that shit. There's black people that don't want to hear that shit. Specifically from my point of view, I moved here and I lived in Hana, and seeing the culture thrive there, seeing them have olis before school, seeing everyone take pride in being Hawaiian to a certain extent. Uh, you know, I spent my own money going to college to learn the language for 2 years and learn the culture and be more a part of it, only to be told, fucking, you sound haole, you're not Hawaiian. Uh, fucking go back to where you came from, call me the N word. So like if we're saying that hip hop, and for even top shakas, if you consider yourself reggae, all that shit's black music. I mean, fucking rock and roll, all that shit's black music. Okay? So if African Americans such as myself, just figuring out what countries my heritage comes from in Africa, if you consider African American culture hip hop or jazz or reggae or sports and entertainment type shit or whatever, but we'll just say in the music world, if you consider hip hop African American culture and that's my culture, y'all motherfuckers are disrespecting the shit out of my culture. Calling me the N-word, dropping this shit all day like it's some shit that you grew up saying or was called ever. And all I ever see on license plates out here is respect the culture, respect the culture, respect the culture. And I'm the first person to do so. Fucking, made to debone tea leaves for Aloha Week in Hana with the ladies because the dudes don't even consider you to be a fucking dude in their society out there. Still did it anyway. I don't give a fuck. Don't matter. But where's the respect for my culture? If I will tell you right now that the majority of black people that I know on this island of Maui get together and help the community around them, which happens to be disenfranchised. Anyone, brown people, doesn't matter. Hawaiian, Filipino, freaking Pompey, African American, any, all of them, and still get called the N-word. And so it's wild to me. It's definitely the reason why I stopped teaching, because fuck that. I'm not dealing with that type shit. But also, like I said, man, you got to just think about the respect that you have for just another person, another person's culture. If you want people to respect the Hawaiian culture and to be a part of, helping revive and thrive the culture and the language and such, please think about respecting other homies' cultures, even if it's something as subtle as hip hop, and not using racial slurs when you speak. With aloha, always. You know what I'm saying? That was your Money Mouth podcast. A hui ho, kako.